Hello everyone, and this is my first Houdini 21 tutorial. So what we're going to do is, because I'm currently obsessed with cops, so we'll just make this pattern in cops. Okay, so there are two new things that got added in cops in Houdini 21. So one is you can draw curves and it has like more stuff that you can do with curves. And the other is you have copy and transform. So we'll take a look at both of those. I will eventually color this as well. Like I haven't colored it right now, but I will color it over the course of the video. So what I'm going to do is I just have these curves that I had drawn. So I'll just pick those up so that it makes my life slightly easier. So I'll just like duplicate that. Okay, so once you draw curves, now you can do a bunch of things. You can also do a SOP import and import curves. But if you just want to do something basic, you can just use your curve node. It's the exact same curve node that you get at SOP level. And you can just, draw it any which way that you want. Now, in order to convert this or sort of in order to rasterize this, you will get something called layer from curves. So you also get rasterized curves. That's like a more base level node. It doesn't have enough functionality, but layer from curves has a lot of functionality. So you can just take that and you plug in your curves and it will just generate this. Now it does a few things. It actually does a lot of things. You can do coloring along curves. You can do color along width. We don't need any of those things. So I'll just keep it fairly simple. I just want to adjust the width a little bit. So I'll remove this. So it's more, straight at the base. And I also don't want it to be like completely tapered out like that. And another thing I want to do is I just want the endpoints to be round. Okay, so it'll just round off the ends and I'll increase the thickness a little bit. So about that much. Now in order to just give it like a flat color, I'm going to work with the alpha. So take a remap node, because what happens is the alpha looks like this. Because it's a curve, the alpha is like rounded off. So all you have to do is just take the remap and like just lower the input max till it sort of flattens out. And that's pretty much what you want. So and then you can just, because it's live, you can just come in here and make, whatever changes you want. You can also if you want, you can like select the whole thing and you can press T and you can move it around. You can scale it up if you want to. So you have all of those options, like everything that you were doing at SOP level, you can do here. Okay, so that is the first thing we want to do. The second is if I look at this one, you have like these leaves and you have a flower, which is like a star shaped flower. So that is what we'll make. Okay, so for the leaves, what I'm going to do is just take an SDF shape and I'm going to set this to go to compound and you will find the last one called vesica. Okay, so that's the one that we'll use and I'll just adjust it a little bit. Okay, so just convert it to mono. So take SDF to mono and just convert it. Okay, now take a transform. And what I'm going to do is set this to clamp and scale it down a bit and rotate. Now, one of the things that you can do here is if you press enter, you actually get a node now. I don't know if you used to get this in 20.5. But now you get like handles, so you can sort of move it around. You can't rotate like this because rotation values don't show up here, but you can scale it up. Okay, so you have like options to do basic, like viewport translation. So it's better. Okay, so I'll keep this to 0. And what I want to do is just like move it to a side and then just rotate a little bit. And then I'm going to take a mirror node and we will just mirror this. So there you go. Okay, that's pretty much what I want. So what I'll do is I'll just move it out slightly and maybe rotate it a bit more. Yeah, that's good. That's what I want. Okay, so now what I want to do is just align it to this. Now you can do it with at SOP level, right? Like you can draw a curve and then copy shapes on top of it and then import that into cops. It'll be a little more procedural, but since we are just looking at stuff, I'm just going to do it, here. So first thing you want to do is just take a maximum and blend these two together. So we know exactly where everything is going to go. And then take a transform. So take a transform 2D. Again, set this to clamp. And like I'll adjust it and I'll move it around to where I want it to be. Yeah, so I'll keep this make it smaller, and then I'll do Control C, Control V and blend these two as well. So do a maximum, and this I will spin it that way and just bring it here. Yeah, so the next thing I want to do is let's make the flower. So I'll take another SDF shape and I will set this to star. Like we lower the radius, I will lower the angle factor. And now I just want it rounded. Okay, so one of the things I can do is I can do an SDF adjust, and you have the option for ISO offset. So that will round off this, but it's not going to round off the inner area. So what you want to do is convert to mono. Let me just make it slightly smaller, and then take a blur node. Don't do smooth, like the smooth won't work. Okay, so just take a blur node and I'm going to blur it to 0.1. Yeah, 0.1. There you go. Maybe more. Let's go to 0.2 and turn off this thing. Turn off read pixels from outside because we don't want that. And then take a remap. This is like a very old technique. This is like stuff that I used to do in Photoshop. You can still do it. Like, you know, if you want to round off a text or something, just blur it and then use like curves to sort of adjust it. So yeah, so just like lower this and increase that. And there you go. You'll get like, you know, a nice, don't go too close. It'll be too sharp. I don't think I wanted that sharp. And you can make those adjustments. See, so you can make, you know, stuff like this. And that's pretty much it. So now again, take a transform. So we'll take a transform 2D. And I can again set this to clamp. If you don't set it to clamp, it will repeat. You know, like when I lower the scale, you'll see this happening. So we don't want that. So yeah, make sure that you keep it to clamp. And then again, take a maximum and we can just align it. So just take this, scale it down, and we'll place it where we want. So just take this and rotate it slightly. Yeah, there you go. We can also try something here, right? Like what I can do is I can take this and kind of, yeah, there you go. That looks nice. And then just, you know, duplicate this. Control C, Control V. Take another maximum here and plug it in and move it, you know, like there. Yeah, there you go. So that's the basic shape that we want. Okay, now let's take care of, you know, like just copying this. So what you want to do is firstly, let's just take a circle. What I'll do for the inside is I don't want to make this. What I'll do is I'll make that. So what I'll do is I'll take an SDF shape and I will set this to go to compound and you'll get egg. So set it to egg and I'll just, you know, adjust it a little bit. Take a transform 2D and take an SDF rebuild. And what I want to do is again just set it to clamp and press E and sort of just, you know, squash it a little. And then we'll also just press T and bring it down. Now I want to do two things with this, which is one is I want like this line in the middle, and then I also want to like cut it a little bit. So we can cut it first. So I'll do an SDF shape and I'm going to pick up a circle, okay, and we'll do SDF blend. So just take these two. I'll set this to subtract and just take that and move it up till about there. Okay, and then you can set it to smooth, so it kind of rounds it off, which looks nice actually. And then take another SDF shape. I'll set this to line and just give it thickness. Okay, and then rotate it 90 degrees. And then again do an SDF blend. And we can do a subtract and then just adjust it. So firstly, like lower the line, you know, we can adjust it and then lower the thickness till it's like that. And we can again just, you know, give it a little bit of smoothing. Okay, and then do SDF to mono and take a transform. We'll set it to clamp and I will scale it down and then take a copy and transform. So this is new. Okay, so this is basically like what you do at SOP level, but just like we have it here, so life becomes a little easier. So make it 45 degrees and we can just take that. Yeah, and then just make this smaller still. Yeah, let's do a couple of things. So I can maybe like just take this and like stretch it out a little bit. Yeah, so we can just scale this up a little and maybe squash it a bit. Yeah, I think that is good. Now let's just build a center for it. So we'll take an SDF shape and we'll do SDF to mono. Because it's a circle, I don't need to look at it. And we'll just take a maximum and adjust it. So this and that. And just take a transform and I'll scale it down. You can also scale it down from the SDF shape, but this is fine as well. So I can just take a clamp and then just scale it. Like that's the circle that we wanted. Okay, I think that's good. Let's also just come in here. Yeah, that's not bad. That looks nice. So this is good. So now let's take a final transform here so we can scale it down. But this has to be small enough. So again, just set this to clamp and we'll scale it. Okay. And then just do a maximum and merge these two together. Now, one of the things you can do now is you do get something called as a fetch node. Okay, which is like an object merge. So I can put this here and I'll call it out. And then I can take a fetch, let's call it out leaves, and take a fetch node. And I can just, drop this in here and this should be mono and we'll say output label is leaves. And so you'll be able to see this, like that. Okay, so then we can just, so your network can be a lot more cleaner. And then I can do the same thing here. So I'll just put a null here and I'll call it flower and take a fetch and drop this in there, set your source, like set the output type, and then we'll just call it flower. Okay, so what we need to do is just merge these two together so we can see what we're getting, and then I'll make the adjustments. Okay, so we have this. So take a transform because this needs to be mirrored, right? So just take this, do clamp, I'll scale it down and move it, let's say here. Yeah, I think even this I should scale it down a bit. So I can just take this and scale it like that. And then take a mirror and drop it in there and do reverse mirror plane. So we'll get this. And then we need another mirror. And this will be 90. And do reverse. There you go. Okay, so we get that. So that's good. Maybe scale it down a bit more. Yeah, I think that is good. And what I also want to do with the flower is that I want to copy one more to the other side, like at the edge over here. So I'm going to take another transform at this end and I'll take the translate to 1. So what will happen is you'll get this. Okay, so you'll have one in the middle and one over there, and we can merge these together. So take a maximum and this goes in here, that goes in there, and there you go. So that becomes your basic shape. So this is done, and now we need to duplicate this. Okay, so what you want to do is take a tile node. So take a tile pattern and this comes in here. Again, if we want, we can do another fetch, like make our lives easier still. So I can take a null here and I'll call it out pattern base and take a fetch, set it to mono, we'll call it pattern base, and this goes in there. Okay, so this comes in here and plug this into stamp. So you'll get this. Except we don't want that. So like what you want to do is, since this is like a checkerboard pattern. So what I can do is I can set this to stretcher bond. And the thing you want to do is turn off stretch shape and then lower it to about, that's good. And then come down to the uniform scale and scale it up till everything merges. So yeah, just sort of like take it till there. And then we might want to adjust a few things. So I think come into this transform and just scale it down. Yeah, so not exactly, what we wanted, but I think it's good enough. Yeah, there you go. That looks nice. So we have a perfectly decent shape that we wanted. Okay, now let's see if we can color this. So what I want to do is this will be a single color, so let's just take this back, and I can just take a mono to RGB. So I'll make this like a pale yellow, the way it is over there. And then the flower, I'll keep it to like white and yellow. So what I can do is, like, we'll have to split this. So come in here, do a mono to RGB for, so this, let's make it, what can we do? Yeah, let's go for like a dark red or something. Like, let's go that side. And then we'll do another mono to RGB, and this will be yellow. If you want to do something more complex, we can do that here as well. Like, I can take the stem can be a single color like that. Actually, no, let's do one thing. Yeah, like this, we want one color. And then the flowers, we will set up another color for them. So I'll keep this up here. And with the flower, what we want is there's also like a circle in the middle. So we'll take SDF shape. So I'll take the color at this point. So do a mono to RGB, and this comes in there. That will be like a dark red. And then we have this guy, which should be small, and we'll do SDF to mono, and this comes in here, and that will be like a yellow, maybe smaller still. And then we do a combine. So take a blend, this comes in here, that goes in there, and the mask comes in there. So there you go, we'll have this. Let's make it slightly soft. And now what we do is we duplicate the transforms. So I can just take these two, do Control C, Control B. So this goes in here and there. So we get that. So this is the color stuff. And then I can just take a blend. So this comes in here, that goes in there. And then the stars from here come into this point. So we'll have this. And then I can do a null, and we'll call it out leaves color. And we take a fetch, and we'll call this, this is RGB, and we'll call it leaves color. So this is good. And yeah, we need to combine this as well. So this is just, we can take a maximum because, they're not overlapping or anything. So it can just be this. And then the same thing. So I can like Control C, Control V. This comes in here, and this will be out flower color, and take a fetch, and this will be RGB flower color. So we have this. Okay, so just take all of this. Let's give these a color. We'll make them yellow. And then this will have to be, we'll have to do the same thing here. So we can actually just duplicate all of this. So just take, like all of that, do Control C, Control V. That's my original network. So I'll just like move that out of the way. And we just sort of bring these in here. So yeah, that is leaves color and flower color. So this should go in there, and that should come in here. You can get rid of this. I think I'm screwing up at some point. Is there a transform in there that I'm forgetting? Yeah, there's a transform here. Hold on. Yeah, let's duplicate this. Yeah, you always end up screwing up somewhere. There you go. So this is fine. The only thing is we'll have to push this back. So let's do like R, or no, let's do, yeah, so just keep this to blend, and we'll take these flowers and put it here. So there you go. so that comes in from that point. Yeah, we're seeing it through the lines, but that's okay. You can like make it solid, like you can make those changes. Hold on, let's do one thing. This should be easy to fix. I can just take the flower, I can make the line and make it smaller. So there you go. Yeah, that's fine. So it doesn't show up. Okay, so these two are done. What we can do to make our lives a little easier is so this is my base pattern, which is black and white, and this is my base pattern, which is colored. And then I'll call it out pattern color. And we can do a RGB to RGBA. So this comes in here and that goes in there, and that should give me, like a transparent thing. And what I'll do with the fetch is I'm going to plug this thing in there and set this to RGBA. All right, so I just realized something, that the tile node only takes like a mono channel. It can't take RGB or RGBA. So we'll do this in a slightly different way, because what we need is like a crisscross pattern, so we can just build one. Okay, so let's take a SOP import node. Like this is more than I was expecting, but yeah, we faced because I had only done it black and white, I didn't really consider this coming up. So let's come in here, we'll create a grid and I'll make it ZX, make it 2 by 2. And I'll just make this around say 6 by 6, and then take a range node and select one of every two at point level. So you'll get this. Okay, no, hold on. Go to 5 by 5. Yeah, 5 by 5. So keep it to odd numbers. Like odd numbers should be fine. Yeah. Okay, so 5 by 5. And just take an add node and delete. Sorry, take a blast and just delete what you don't want. So just take a blast here and just get rid of, group 1. So you'll get this. And then if I take a stamp points, so I can take a stamp points and just drop this in. And okay, so the reason why it's not showing up is because by default it's kept to use external SOP. Just turn that off. Yeah, that's what was causing the problem. So I was wondering like why isn't it working? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we keep this, and then we have this guy. So I can just plug this in here into stamped and change this to RGBA, and you will start seeing it. So now just scale it up to around 0.5 and we get the same result that we want. So get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. So I'll just keep this up here. And then I just want to blend it with the background. Okay, so I'll just take a ramp. So just take a ramp RGB. We'll keep it to a single point. You can even take a constant. That's also fine. But I'll just keep it to like it's orange or something. And then what you want to do is do RGBA to RGB. And then take a blend. The blend goes in, so the color comes here. This one goes there, and then the alpha comes into mask, and you will get this. There you go. And if you want to check it if it's tileable, I think it should be, but we can just check it. So just take a preview material, and I can plug this into base color. And I'm going to get rid of the specular temporarily. We don't need that. And let's just set this to sphere. And yeah, we're good. So I can just take the UV scale to around 4. And we are fine, no issues as such. The issue is that you have the new scatter shapes node, but that has like an inbuilt geometry pattern, so you can't feed in like points, which is the problem. So you can feed this in over there, but it's like a fixed grid, like I can put this into stamps and see you'll get this. Which isn't bad, but you can only do like we can get this. That doesn't look very nice. That's not what we want. So you can't modify the internal like grid pattern. I think they should provide with like a few more grid types. Life would be a little bit better. This is a good node. Like I'll talk about this later, but this is a very good node. Like for general tiling and stuff, it's pretty nice. Anyways, coming back to this. That's pretty much it. So this is how you can use the new sort of curve tool and the copy and stamp tool to create patterns in COPs.